Why the hell did I quit this $1 million dream studio to go work from my home studio instead? That is exactly what I'm going to talk about in today's video, so stay tuned. After a good 9.5 years at RedBull / Atlantisstudio, I have decided it is time for me to head down a different path. Back in 2015, I had my very first session there, and a couple of weeks ago, I had my last session ever at that studio. So where did it all start? In today's video, I'll walk you through my entire career so far, how I got into music, how I then became a recording and mixing engineer and landed my ultimate dream job at the time. I'll also go over how I got fired from that dream job and then got rehired by the same studio again, and how I recently quit working at that studio and what I'm about to do next. Also, I'm currently packing because tomorrow morning I will be driving to Spain because I am trading the home studio in Amsterdam for an Airbnb in Valencia, just because I really need a vacation or a workation, however you want to call it. I just really need to get the hell out of here. Okay, let's get this show on the road. It is 7 a.m. right now. I don't know why when you do a road trip it has to be so early in the morning. We've got about 10 hours of driving to do today, and then tomorrow another 8. So I'm going to put the pedal to the metal and get there as fast as I can. Okay, we are on the road. We're in Luxembourg right now. I think it's time to start this story. When I was about 13 years old, I started making music, started making beats. Okay, I started making music a little bit earlier back in the days as a kid when my dad used to play guitar for me and I really wanted to be a guitar player as well. And then he put me on guitar lessons and it was the most horrible guitar teacher I have ever come across. So that lasted about 2 months. Then for a long time after that, it wasn't really about music in my life. But then when I turned 13, hip-hop came into my life and I started making beats and making music with people, and I built a studio in my mom's garage where me and my friends used to hang out and make music, and that was really cool. I sucked, but I loved it, and I spent all of my free time making beats and making tunes with people. And that is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life from that point on. And I started pursuing that. I started making beats and music and tracks with everyone, and eventually I got accepted into a school for music production, and that was like a dream come true. Because there I could make music with like-minded people, make tracks and albums and really go all out. And I got to learn from some industry professionals that taught me about recording and mixing and all of the stuff that comes into play when actually making a record from start to finish. And honestly, at that moment, I fell in love with making music, and in particular, recording and mixing. When I turned 18, I inherited some money because my dad and my grandmother passed away in my teens. And I decided to put that to good use and buy studio gear from that, because I thought if I buy all the gear that I need, that I see online that people use and have successful careers, I will have a successful career too and make a lot of money. So I bought a Neumann TLM 103, I bought Adam A7Xs, I bought outboard preamps, I bought guitars, I almost even bought like a glockenspiel because I thought, hey, that is cool. I bought an MPC and a bunch of stuff I really did not need, but at that point I thought if I have this gear, I am going to be the best studio in town and everybody wants to come and record with me and have their records mixed by me and have me involved, pay me a lot of money, and I've got a banging career. And it stayed silent. The first 2 years of running my studio business, I think I made $400 in total. That's 200 a year. So it was clear that buying the gear was no shortcut to having a successful career. And that basically is because of one simple fact, and that is that I hadn't put in the work yet, so nobody knew what I could actually do. So I knew I had to take the next step, and I signed up for the audio engineering course at SAE in Amsterdam, and I felt right at home. I mean, in the years before that, I had watched every single episode of Passado's Place. I had watched every single tutorial and recording or mixing that was on YouTube at the time, and it was time for me to actually put that to work. And with the studios at SAE, I could quickly do recording sessions and really get into the flow of getting the work done and building my portfolio, which was basically the missing link in my entire career. So after SAE was done, it was showtime. It was time for me to be in the room, be in the most amazing studios, record records, mix them, be in the room with artists, and just do what I was supposed to do. It was time to run a successful business as an audio engineer. Unfortunately, it didn't really work that way. You might not say it now, but back then I was quite the introvert. Yes, I still find it really weird to be here in public and speak to a camera, but I wasn't the type of person back then to go up to people and tell them what I could do for them or for their music. I still am not, which is why I really like the social media thing and me being able to talk to a camera and still being the introvert, but being extroverted on the internet. All right, getting there. Only 7 more hours to go. My tank is almost empty. I'm not letting it get to 0 like I usually do. We're going to get some gas in time this time, so let's find a gas station. Yes, I missed the previous gas station. I cannot afford to miss the next one. All the time I see a sign like, hey, there's a gas station, and then I go like, okay, so let's watch out for the... Oh, it was like right after this sign. 25 more kilometers. I hope we are getting a gas station before that time. Otherwise, what's there? Please tell me there's a gas station. Please tell me there's a gas station. Gas. Yes. Woo! There's a gas station. Okay, let's fill this tank up and keep going. So the audio engineer business didn't really work out as expected, and I still needed to generate an income. So I decided to apply to an internship application for a sound assistant on a film set, which was supposed to be for only 1 week, but the sound guy liked me so much that he decided to hire me for the next 2 years. And it did really feel like giving up on my dream to do recording work, mixing work, be in studios, working with music, because yes, this was audio oriented, but it wasn't working with music. My job there was to listen for overlap between lines of actors, hearing if their heels were making noise, if there was a plane flying over, if the wireless system was dropping out. And even though it was not creative, it did really train my ears in a different way than the studio did and SAE did. So I am really grateful for that. And now that I am making content, those years on the film set really helped me. And besides those 40 hours a week I put in on the film set, I usually spent my Friday and Saturday nights touring with a cover band that I did live sound for, and we had like the most horrible venues you could think of, like chicken barns and churches and meeting rooms even. It was super weird, but we had to make it work. We always traveled with our own PA system. I had to learn how to set that up. I had to learn how to do mic placement. I had to learn digital live mixing consoles. Again, it wasn't really what I wanted to do with my life, but at least I was working on music and learning how to mix and learning skills that I would need later on in my life. And I wasn't just working at some restaurant doing the dishes or whatever. Look at this amazing hotel room. Yes. You can tell we're making the big bucks now. Okay, back to the story, because it wasn't all bad. RedBull and SAE had this collab that the SAE alumni could actually work at the studio and do sessions there. So that is also how I got into the door at RedBull Studios. Let's do a really quick backstory about RedBull Studios, because RedBull built 11 studios all over the world to basically use for marketing purposes. So they had this thing called the RedBull Music Academy, and in the cities that they hosted the RedBull Music Academy, they would build studios, and one big studio that would stay there after the Music Academy was done. The Amsterdam one was a little bit different because they didn't have a RedBull Music Academy, but they decided to build a studio anyway. By the way, yes, I fell for the trap of McDonald's once again. So I went on to do some sessions over there whenever I still had a moment of spare time besides being on the film set and the live shows and the weekends. Now here's the thing with many of these opportunities in the music business, they usually don't pay well or not at all. RedBull didn't pay us at all, but we were all fine with that because this was our time to be in that studio with those artists and get our skills up and get our foot in the door to show these artists what we were made of. And for me, luckily that worked out. I remember doing a session with FKJ, French Kiwi Juice, the Amsterdam session. That was in the old RedBull studios. I recorded that and that went on to get a couple of million views here on YouTube. Is that pink? No, it couldn't be. That would imply that McDonald's is fresh. And there is the ultimate dream. Right now, I'm doing this road trip in my Volkswagen Polo. But ideally, next road trip, I'll be in a Porsche like the Cayman in front of us. And if things go really well, maybe even a Porsche 911. The only thing I can do to get there is work my ass off and make it happen. The last project I did at that old studio was live at RedBull Studios, in which MTV collabed with RedBull to do live performances of a couple of well-known Dutch artists. And of course they needed someone to take care of the live sound there and run the recording. And because the studio manager knew I could find my way around a digital live mixing console and mixing for the PA and for the artist and run the recording, I got that job. Okay, day 2. Getting back in the road with Mr. Junes in the back. You ready, Juno? No, you're not ready, are you? He's like, get me out of here. I want to run on the beach right now. No, look behind us. It's a 911. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Woo! Yeah, that is the dream. I need that car for my next road trip. Maybe not this one because I could never afford this one, but an older one, maybe a 996 or something. And we made it. We are in España. And we made it to the Airbnb where me and Juno are going to stay for the next 3 weeks. It is insanely verby because the ceilings are like 5 meters high. So I'm sorry for all the upcoming videos that are going to have a lot of reverb. It is what it is. I couldn't be making this video if it wasn't for the sponsor of today's video. There is nothing more frustrating as a producer or engineer than putting in dozens of hours of recording, mixing, producing, and mastering into a song that afterwards almost gets no streams. If that sounds like your situation, maybe it's time for you to take a look at SongTools. SongTools basically takes away all your worries when it comes down to placing your track in playlists, and it also takes care of promoting your song after its release. On SongTools you can run a playlisting campaign which automatically finds the right playlist for your song and adds your track to it. You can also let it run ads on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok to reach new potential listeners. Check the link down below in the description to learn more about what SongTools can do for you and your songs. Okay, so let's head back into the story again. I did the MTV Live at RedBull Studio sessions and of course I nailed that. They were very happy. But as RedBull didn't have a paid job for me yet, I needed to get back to the film set and doing live sound in the weekends. However, a couple of weeks later, I got a call from the studio manager saying that they were going to rebuild the entire RedBull studio and they were looking for a chief audio engineer to take care of everything technical inside of that new studio. The odds were not really in my favor because other people that were applying for this job were engineers from very well-known studios, and even my old school teacher from SAE that had gotten me into the RedBull studios in the first place. I think it's safe to say he didn't really like it when he heard that I got the job instead of him. Okay, this video is becoming very long, so I'm going to break it up in different parts. If you want to support the channel, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on anything. Also, there is a join button down below which you can click to get to the virtual internship, and there you will get much more in-depth videos about recording walkthroughs, mix breakdowns, and much more. That was it for me. I'll see you very soon. Later.